Alarming new surveillance video highlighting the crisis at our southern border. More than 100 migrants. Look at your TV screen. 100 migrants walking around around an unfinished border wall. The wall ends. They just walk around it.
Yeah, you know, border walls don't work. Please, come on. We keep saying that.
Not working here.
Yeah.
Well, this comes as immigration analysts are revealing some apprehension numbers. They're skyrocketing now.
But are they so big that Congress and another country might be ready to take action? Griff Jenkins joined us from Washington. We woke him up because of this whole tariff fight. If it wasn't for the president and his tariffs, Griff, you could have slept in today.
That's right. Brian Haynes and Steve, good morning. And who knows what will happen in that terrified president comes home. We'll see what Mexico puts on the table. But let's go back to that video. Check it out. It's from Customs and Border Protection. This is from Tuesday morning near Tucson, Arizona. It's 134 Central American migrants, as you mentioned, casually walking around an unfinished section of border fence. Now, these migrants, many of them family units, surrendered to Border Patrol agents, but many need to go to, about 10 or so had to go to the hospital. And several of them were being trafficked, according to Roya Villarreal, who is the Tucson sector chief there. And here's the point. This is yet another indication of the exploding surge along our southern border. Family units are up 463% since last year. That is part of CBP's stunning reporting numbers for the month of May this week, where we saw nearly 133,000 apprehensions, the highest number since March of 2006. This morning, the Washington Examiner is reporting these predictions from a Princeton policy analyst who says that they have to adjust predictions up 10% higher. That puts it just over 1 million. Now, to date, there have been more than 675,000 apprehensions. That's up nearly 100% from this time last year. But the fact is that video you saw hours later, another one happened in the same spot. It's happening all along the 2000 stretch of our border. There are signs Mexico is feeling President Trump's pressure, stepping up its enforcement. And most recently, we saw a caravan of 1,000 crossing that Guatemala-Mexico border. They were detained by Mexican officials. Many will be perhaps deported. We saw that when we were there a month ago. And one of the main caravan supporters of Pueblo Sin Fronteras, going all the way back to October, guys, he was arrested in Mexico yesterday. We'll see where this all goes.
And Griff, we can really tell that you spent a lot of time in Mexico, because those cities used to be a struggle for you, but now they roll right off your tongue because you understand how many caravans have come up our direction and how they've gotten right into our country. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Meanwhile, the news this morning, breaking news this morning, is apparently the president is
that's right.
You
Cool.
bet.
Right.
You bet.
Griff
It was
does not
cool.
want to say goodbye. That's the problem.
Hey,
That's
man,
why we. All right.
Yeah, Griff, I just
Griff,
stopped
anything
talking.
else? You have anything you want to
Hey,
pick up at the
man.
grocery store?
All right. Meanwhile, the breaking news this morning is that apparently the President of the United States is considering invoking another national emergency, declaring a national emergency so that he could be able to install the tariffs. He would use the 1977 International Emergency Economic Powers Act. The way we know about this is apparently the White House counsel and Department of Justice floated this idea to some Republican senators earlier in the week, and he would declare a new emergency because of the failure of the government of Mexico to take effective action to reduce the mass migration of aliens illegally crossing into the United States from Mexico. Of course, the Mexicans are, it's let's make a deal time in Washington, D.C. We're less than 72 hours away from when the president could slap those tariffs on them.
Well, what's interesting, you can say whatever you want about the president, but his negotiation tactics are amazing, because he's sitting down with this delegation. He's got folks in D.C. right now that have been sitting down with these Mexican delegates that have come up to try to work out a deal. They've been here since Saturday, and they're trying to work on a deal. They're going to continue to sit down again today and try to figure something out. Right. But they're saying they're willing to send troops down to their southern border, and they are sending people back to Guatemala.
They know what needs to be done, and I guess what? I think the Mexicans are legitimately dealing, if we're to believe some of the reports we got yesterday. The markets certainly were. Here's what the Washington Post headline is, and then we'll tell you what's in the story. Mexico aims to avoid tariffs with potential deal limiting migrants going north, allowing the U.S. to deport Central American asylum seekers. So they plan on a sweeping overhaul of asylum rules in the region that will require Central American migrants to seek refuge in the first country they enter. So what does that mean? For Guatemalans, that would be Mexico. You stay. For Hondurans and El Salvadorans, that would be Guatemala. That's where you would stay.
Good luck.
If Mexicans come here, we've already handled that in 2000, and that's no longer an issue because we have certain guidelines. I am definitely optimistic that the framework is there. There's a sense on both sides they want the USMCA passed. There's a sense on both sides the president is dead serious,
right.
And that's why the foreign minister's been here all week trying to work this out. The president gets back today.
Well, this is called the safe third country idea, and Mexico in the past, we have floated and said, you know, you got to do that. And they said, nope, we're not going to do it. Canada has done it. Mexico now says that they are willing to do it as long as the tariffs don't go into effect. Now, regarding the fact that they're going to put 6,000 more National Guardsmen on their southern border, here's the problem. Mexico has said that we'll put all those people down there because last month, 145,000 migrants were apprehended at our southern border. What the Mexicans are saying is they can get the numbers closer to last fall, when only about 60,000 were coming across the border. United States, do you like that idea? Just 60,000? And the administration said, no, absolutely not. It's got to be closer. It's got to be under 20,000 a month, or it's a no deal. So right now, it looks as if, unless Mexico says, okay, we're willing to get it under 20,000, and we're now okay with the safe third country thing, the tariffs are going to start on Monday.
3/4 of the illegals are coming from El Salvador, Honduras, and Guatemala. So if they have to stay in Mexico, 3/4 of them, that would be a big change.
Cool.
So they're trying
Mexico
to negotiate
says they
that.
don't
Exactly.
have the money.
The opposition, though, you have Democrats. They're saying he's overstepping his authority. Nancy Pelosi is one of those. President was asked about it in the exclusive interview that he had with Laura Ingraham that aired last night. And here's a clip of what he says about the opposition.
They shouldn't be able to walk through Mexico. And now I've told Mexico, if you don't stop this onslaught, this invasion, people like Nancy Pelosi, that honestly, they don't know what the hell they're talking about. I watch her. She was saying, we have to protect Mexico. We have to take care of Mexico. Look, I'm dealing with Mexico right now. I say, we're going to put tariffs on because we want you to help us with, because they won't pass any legislation in Congress. And I have senators and others and Pelosi coming out saying, oh, how horrible. They should be saying, we're with the president. We'll do whatever he wants to do. And Mexico would fold like an umbrella.
Right, because he needs some unanimity so the president shows that he has some power behind his tariff threats, and he will. Keep in mind, Mexican U.S. officials described the Accord's framework on the conditions of anonymity, told the Washington Post. They expressed optimism. The Mexicans said, this is our offer, but if the president puts on the tariffs on Monday, it's receded. What the president could do is delay. Meanwhile, Rush Limbaugh said to himself, I think I know why both Republicans and Democrats are so against tariffs. Listen.
And the chorus in Washington, made up of the opposition, including many Republicans. You can't do that. Oh, my God, that would be terrible. You'd cost 400,000 American jobs. You can't do that. Mexicans will never go for it. You can't do that. Too many donors, man, do not want anything to happen to Mexico and what's happening in Mexico. The Democrats don't want anything happen to future Democrat voter registration.
Okay, so right now it looks like they're going to do some more wheeling and dealing today. But right now, according to the Washington Post, this proposal, while some people have been talking about it, you know, blabbing about it to the press, it looks as if they still don't know whether or not the president is on board.
Right. Keep your fingers crossed. We have enough fights. I would love something to be solved. This would be great to have something solved.
That would be great. All right. Mexico, the ball is in your court. Meanwhile,